So as most of you know, every single year that passes by, it really only makes more and more sense to basically go ahead and install the beta of the software. Now, I would recommend for every single person out there never to install any sort of beta software on any device, including any iPhone, iPad, but also any Android device out there too. It can cause so many random problems, and I've never really been in a situation personally where I've thanked myself of installing a beta. It's usually been the opposite. I've almost always regretted installing any beta that I would have probably had on any device, but I would go one step further. To be completely honest, I would probably say that for any single person out there, usually installing the official version of any version of software out there usually makes sense. You know, if you're going through, let's say you're going through and you're installing iOS 15, iOS 16, it may make a lot of sense to go and install that day one. And some people may even recommend installing it even like later on in the year, such as me. But I would probably say with iOS 17, it might actually make more sense to go ahead and install that version of software maybe a tiny little bit later. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, when we take a look at a version of software like iOS 17, it's looking like, for one, it's not that crazy big of an update, but there are still lots of bugs and issues that are going on with that version of software, making it a very, very strange update. Now, I'm not against iOS 17, like I still think it's a really good update overall, but it is still a very weird situation that we're in when we have a version of software like iOS 17, which isn't really that big of a version of software, but it's still causing lots of random issues all over the place. So personally for me, when you actually have a version of software like that, that is actually very troubling. Now, what is the thing that I probably wouldn't recommend doing this year for your iPhones? Well, honestly, like I mentioned, I probably would not recommend installing a version of software like iOS 17, maybe until even December or maybe even January of this year. And like I mentioned, there are a couple of reasons for this. For one, like I said, when you're running a beta version of software, it can cause some issues. But when you're running an official version of software that already has lots and lots of issues potentially with it, that can also cause a few amount of problems with it anyways. So what I would recommend doing this year is probably holding off on iOS 17, especially if you have some of those older iPhones. If you have a newer iPhone, it doesn't really matter too much. But on those older ones, the iPhone 10 or iPhone 11, iPhone even 12 in a way, battery life has taken a toll, so many things have kind of taken a hit all over the place, so you're probably going to be in a better spot, in my opinion, if you actually just if you just keep iOS 16 on your device, rather than installing iOS 17, maybe until the end of this year. So that pretty much covers it up. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.